All right, my name is Geoffrey from Mbu.ug. The show is Chit Chat, and here is where we bring you information regarding your local celebrities. It's strictly Ugandan, and we are going to be talking to the UMA chairman. He'll be telling us more about, at least you've been seeing things trending regarding Uganda Musicians Associations. You've been sending in your questions, nengamba kamunonye, mulete kusho, togere ku bintu ebimu. Myembadde mutubuuza, he will reply a few of those questions and tell us more regarding the elections that are happening. But first, his name is Jeff. That's the name I know. He'll be telling us more, his full names and everything else concerning what he does, and then we'll delve into the interview. Mr. Jeff, welcome to the Chit Chat Show. My name is Josh Ruby from Mbu.ug.
Thank you, Josh, for hosting me.
Yeah, and maybe before we get into the details of this interview, do you mind telling us about more of yourself, your full name and what you do?
My name is Geoffrey Ekongot, but most people just call me Jeff, most especially in the music industry. I am a creative with about 20 years experience, but I'm also very passionate about the music industry, and I'm a music industry consultant. I've been in the music industry since about 2000. I have been in it in various capacities, including co-founding the Uganda HipHop Foundation in 2003, including working as a talent consultant for MTV, and having worked hard to put Ugandan artists on the global stage through MTV, MTV Base Africa, MTV Europe, MTV US. I've also worked, done some freelance work with Cora Awards. I've also worked as a talent consultant for the British Council and helped a lot of creatives in various capacities, including music, film, comedy. I have also promoted directly stand-up comedians, including people like Salvador. And I've also co-founded the Music Forum Foundation, which is an organization which is a precursor to the Uganda Musicians Association. And we were doing a lot of lobbying to restructure the music industry back then, including the change of the copyright law, which is the current law, the copyright law that we're using at the moment.
Okay, how would you describe your role at the Uganda Musicians Association to a person watching you for the first time?
At the Uganda Musicians Association, I am the Electoral Commissioner for the association's elections, essentially. I am in charge of ensuring the transition between the previous administration to the next one. So I'll be pretty much doing most of the work in ensuring that UMA has that smooth transition, which will take about 2 months.
Okay. Is UMA strictly a musicians association? Because we see comedians, there are people like comedians or even people in the other arts sector who do music. Is it strictly a musicians association, and who qualifies to belong to the association?
So essentially UMA is a musicians association, but often musicians are multi-talented. So a musician could be in film, they could be in comedy, they could be in many other things, and that doesn't stop them. But they are also music industry persons that I very closely work to shape the music industry, and they are also part of UMA, including myself. I'm now working with UMA, including the first chairman, Julius Chaze. He's not a singer, but he's managing a record label.
Yeah.
So in a way, it encompasses the core music industry, which may be people on stage or people behind stage.
Do cultural troops also belong here?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
The cultural troops, as long as they are musical cultural troops, they do.
How does one apply? How does one qualify to belong to join? Okay. How does one join UMA?
So UMA has a membership program, and the basic requirements are you're a musician or you are directly affiliated to the music industry. And we have simple requirements. There's a fee you pay, 20,000, and then we have a form that you fill. It has some basic KYC information, which is information that describes who you are, what genre, what musical genre you're into, just the basics that you are as a musician.
So if you have all those, if you fulfilled all those qualifications, you
Yes.
qualify for.
Yes, you qualify. Once you fulfill all those, you qualify. And membership is on a rolling basis. We are actively registering members even now during the election period.
To tell us precisely, what is the hierarchy of this association? Because people know the structure. You know, there is a president, there is a vice president, but what happens after? Which other people make up the structure? Just quickly.
So the association is made up of several layers. The first layer is the policy board.
Okay.
And the policy board is the highest level of the institution. And then the most popular area is the executive, the one that is undergoing the elections.
Okay.
And it's made up of 4 key positions: the president, the vice president, the secretary, and the treasurer.
All right.
And then below that, there is the other positions. And those other positions include the cluster heads or representatives, which is youth and women affairs. And then we also have the regional representatives, that is west, north, and east. And then we also have the genre representatives, that is gospel, kadong kamu, dancehall, band, and hip-hop.
I know a few people in the association, and what has impressed me personally is the inclusion of females, especially on the executive. You said in the
executive.
The executive, yes. There are a couple of females that are leading the association. Does gender play a big role when selecting these roles?
Yes, as a general principle, the idea is to try and balance. So we've always encouraged a mix. For example, if we have a male president, we strongly encourage a female vice president.
Okay.
If we have a female vice president, the next one we encourage the other gender. So the idea is to try and balance the genders.
That's good. The other thing I would like to ask is, as Uma, what would you outline as the major achievements in the? Let's look at the past term. Not even from when it started. Let's look at the past term.
Well, currently my role is to prepare the elections, but I can give a quick background on what has been going generally. Generally, the association is still very young, and the core.
When did it start officially?
I wasn't there at the beginning, but it's a few years. I'm not very certain of the date, so I wouldn't want to comment on that. But it's a few years old. And the essence in the beginning was to restructure the industry in a way that allows musicians to interface with government, so that half of the issues the industry faces are because we've been operating in silos, sort of independently, without appreciating the dynamics that play to structure the music industry ecosystem. So a very big part of what the first regime has been doing is to set the foundation for the industry. And the foundation includes us, for example, putting together policies and working with other stakeholders to ensure that these policies work well for the music industry to fit into the wider ecosystem of the creative industries.
Yeah. You say you are new to the system, but at least you have an idea. In the last term, we've seen a couple of resignations. I'll talk about the vice president. Was it the president himself, Waiki Benda? I'll talk about Big Eye, who was the treasurer. I'll talk a couple of them. What could have led to this, and what's the plan to avoid such things from happening in the coming term?
In the past, when there were resignations, I think there were some conflicts here and there.
Okay.
And part of the issues is that there's limited grounding in leadership issues for musicians.
Okay.
Most musicians are good at music. They are not good at governance.
Yeah.
And running an institution is about governance. and most of them are very new at it. So one of the things we've realized that we need to spend a little bit of effort on the new leaders to ensure that they gain grounding in governance issues. So a very big part of UMA moving forward is going to be in capacity building around governance issues.
All right. And when you mention UMA, usually the first thing that comes to mind is copyright. It's music copyright.
Yes.
But there have been even the current people, the current candidates who are looking forward to being president at the association. On their manifestos, it's copyright that is fronting. I want to implement copyright. I want to but this is something that stretches back for a very long time. And you've been in the industry, you know the effects of an inactive copyright law. But has UMA failed so far? Or if not, what are the projections? What are we looking at in future to making this copyright law active and implemented?
So one, you need to appreciate that the issues of copyright are very complex, much more complex than a single administration of UMA. These are generational issues that cannot be solved in 1 year or two. And most UMA administrations are just 2 years, or they are at the moment 2 years. Part of the things we've been doing long before even UMA was in place was, for example, changing the old laws. But along the way, as times change, for example, you've noticed that the world has gone very digital in nature, and everything is going digital.
Yeah.
So some of the ideas that were envisioned in the old copyright laws are no longer relevant. And there are, for example, now streaming technologies, so many technologies that are focused around digital that were not previously envisioned. There are revenue models that didn't exist just a couple of years ago. So the essence of constantly revisiting the copyright law is to capture all these elements to ensure that artistic revenues don't seep through all these new innovations.
Okay,
so this task is a continuous one. It will never be solved completely because new things keep coming up. So even future generations of UMA administrations will be dealing with this, fine-tuning it over and over. In fact, right now, there's a new round of revisions for the copyright law that is about to launch. And it's going to include consultations with stakeholders across the board.
Okay.
Yes.
On Monday, elections began, the election process of nominations and the likes. Could you take us through that election process? It started on Monday, I think. Where does it go? What is the process?
So the election process began on 28th April, and the first step was to announce the process of nominations. The first step was to announce that artists are welcome to pick up the forms, which they did. The process was supposed to take a week.
28th March?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was supposed to take a week, but enthusiasm grew at the last moment. So we decided to increase it by another week.
Okay.
And we extended it until a few days ago. So the next stage was for them to return these forms.
So when an artist picks these forms, what do they do with them?
So the forms essentially are for them to pick signatures of people who second them to be nominated.
Okay.
The rule was that you can't just stand for a position. People need to support your position to stand.
They need to back you.
Yeah, they need to back you, and you need to be backed by proof, by having signatures. So they were supposed to collect these signatures, which was supposed to take a week, and it was extended for another week. And then also that was a time to let as many people know that this process is happening, so that they can pick interest in these positions.
And these signatures must be members of the association?
Yes, they must be members.
Okay.
They must be members.
All right.
However, we do appreciate that there are musicians who are not yet members of UMA. And we have been actively encouraging them to join the association on a rolling basis. And there were also some small subgroups of the music industry in the past, like other associations. But I think many of them have decided to support UMA. So many are coming to join UMA as well.
So after, okay.
So we are allowing that as well.
So after nomination, what next?
So after nomination, the next stage is the debate. We are going to hold a presidential debate, and basically the whole executive office all the offices, the positions available for the executive offices, they will all be debating. We want to pick the ideas. We want to know who has potential. Then we want them to exchange ideas.
Is this an
as
inside
well.
thing, or will it be available
It's a
for the
public event.
public?
It's going to be on television. It's going to be televised. We'll confirm and announce this shortly, in a few days actually. And it should be a very exciting event for the music industry.
I'm looking
It's the
forward
first
to
time that we are going to be able to really hear their thoughts beyond the music and the vocals.
I'm looking forward to that. And if you're watching Mbu.ug. If you're watching on YouTube, press that subscribe button. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, follow us everywhere. We are there. Just type in Mbu.ug and you will have us. Mr. Jeff, the nominations have gone on smoothly. I would, from our end, they seem smooth, but I know it's a hard work from your end. But what was the criteria of saying that many people picked forms, but this is the person we want to nominate? What did you consider?
So one of the things we're considering is a person should be of good moral standing, meaning they don't have any criminal issues going on. They shouldn't be under warrant by police. They should also be have a good record within the association. They shouldn't have any issues. We shouldn't have any disciplinary issues going on. And then the basics that were required for them to even return the forms, which is a national ID. They were supposed to write a formal application to the association stating why they were standing. They were supposed to provide a profile or a CV and then a manifesto.
Okay.
The idea is to capture their thoughts and to see whether these thoughts are actually going to add value to the association.
Can this nomination be disqualified?
Yes, it can be disqualified.
At what point?
This is the very point when that is happening. We received the forms yesterday, and today is the deadline for this.
Okay.
Receiving the forms, and then we are going to vet the forms. So what they have now is a provisional
nomination.
A provisional nomination.
Yeah.
So we are going to go through the vetting and go through their manifestos, their applications. If we see something is really wanting or there's cause for disqualification, we will do that.
So then you release the list of those nominated?
Yes, then we will shortly release the list of those who have been given a go-ahead to campaign.
And then campaigns go on?
And then the campaigns kick off. Actually, the debate is within the campaign period. Okay. The campaign period will last about a month.
Who is eligible to vote? Who can vote? Is it only members?
Only members can vote. We have compiled a register of all members across the country, and that register is going to be published as soon as possible, which could even be by today, by end of day. And we are going to give members an opportunity to look through and see whether their names are on this register. That will be the first draft of the register. And for the next 3 weeks, they will have an opportunity to give feedback. If their names are missing or misspelled, or in anybody's on that register, on the register that shouldn't be there, this is a time for them to let us know so that we can fix that and publish the final register of those who are going to vote.
Where do they find this information?
Most of the members, we have networks, internal networks, including social media, like WhatsApp groups. We have 14 clusters. And we have regional heads. All the regional heads control communication channels. We also have, all the members are aware of these channels, but we will also be doing mass blasts via SMS. We have contacts for all our members. So it's primarily internal communication.
Okay. While nominating, are education levels an important thing, or is it a by the way?
It's not a very important thing, but we expect the candidates to be mature in terms of mind. We expect them to have experience of what's going on in the music industry and to be able to add value.
How long does the term last after voting?
The term lasts 2 years.
Okay. And after 2 years, another election.
Another election.
So pretty much it's 2 years election, 2 years election.
Yes.
People are being nominated for different posts. I want somebody watching to understand. For now, is it only the executive, or are other posts as well?
All the other posts are also being filled. there are 14 positions available.
Okay.
The executive posts are only 4.
Mm.
So all the other positions are also being filled. We have applicants from all over the country applying for example, the regional offices to represent the regions, to represent the music genres, and the clusters, which is youth and women.
And women, yeah.
Yes.
Are you pleased with the process so far?
Yes.
Or is there something lacking? You know, dealing with our musicians, there is some kavuyo there. Or are you pleased?
The process is going good so far. There's a lot of suggestions about how we could do things, and most of them we have already thought about them. For example, one of the concerns has been on the election, how the elections are going to run, of which the current position is that they are going to run online. And many musicians were taking concern that they wanted a physical election.
They wanted a physical election.
Yeah, our initial planning was a physical election, but due to limited resources, we had to reconsider. We haven't closed it completely. We are still in talks with various stakeholders to see if that can happen.
While watching TV a few days ago, a renowned musician, Bebe Cool, commented on one of the nominees, who is King Saha, and in his own perspective, Bebe Cool, he says that an association like UMA should not be giving a chance to people like King Saha, who publicly revealed that they smoke weed. Are lifestyles and people's behaviors a thing of concern to the association, and what goes and what stays?
Well, we are looking for people who have the capacity to move the association forward. What people do with their private lives is not of much concern to us, but we do appreciate that our leaders are very influential, and the things they do with their private time could have consequences. However, as the person in charge of elections, that hasn't
It's not
been
a big issue
yet
for you.
Yes.
Really? Okay, that's interesting, because somebody else will say, looking at other associations from other countries, this is a big issue. It's a big issue to look at people's physical appearances. Personally, I don't mind, as long as you have a brain. If you can lead people and people are trusting you, you can go on with it. But from the outside, the people we consider the corporate kind of people, for them it's a big issue. You don't mind about that?
The look is what shapes the music industry. The musicians do extraordinary things.
Yeah.
They do things because they stand out. The look is what defines musicians. So how a specific musician looks doesn't really matter. In fact, the more extraordinary or unordinary they look, the better. Because showbiz is about trying to stand out and doing things that are out of the ordinary.
Interesting. Maurice Kia was part of the race. Then he pulled out at some point. Part of his reasons were that he couldn't present himself physically for the nominations process. Does this mean, because looking at it, you start feeling, so if I'm in the diaspora, I can't take part in the nominations process. I can't be nominated. I can't campaign. I can't be voted. Like, what should the people in the diaspora? Because Maurice Kia's main point is he failed to make the flight to make it here on Monday and probably today for the nominations process. So is it exclusively physical? Must somebody be there physically for them to be nominated? And why is that so?
Someone does not need to be here physically to be nominated. In fact, we have not received official communication from Maurice Kia or Maurice Kia's team regarding why he withdrew or why he did not show up. The music industry is a career where people move constantly. A musician could be on tour.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't have them on the executive. And we totally accept people who may not be available for the nominations physically. What we want is their commitment to offer themselves for leadership. So I think that's not a good reason. We would have still accepted his nomination.
Let me ask, if somebody is based in the diaspora, because we have some people in Sweden, artists, or even in South Africa, just here, can they Can they also be nominated? Can they take part in the...
Yes, they can. We have members who are abroad, and they are very active even in the groups. They are always contributing ideas. They are always even contributing beyond ideas. So we totally welcome Ugandan musicians who are based abroad to participate in the activities of UMA.
The criticism that you're facing quite much lately is the communication channels. People feel like you have focused more on the WhatsApp group of the UMA members and probably media in terms of TV and radio, but that alone cannot be enough for an association this big to pass on information to the public. I personally feel like social media should be a big tool that you can use to create awareness, even about these elections that are happening, even about any other information that you could be having as UMA and passing on. But checking your Twitter account, last tweets went up, I think in November 2021. Same applies for Facebook, Instagram. There's no activity. So somebody looking at that in this digital age, they are thinking, no, this association, there's something lacking, or they're not serious, or they're not really taking us serious as the public. What would you say about that?
I totally agree with you. We take responsibility for the inadequacy in our public communication, most especially with our digital channels. In fact, the issue has been limited resources. There was some unplanned vacuum. The plan was that the old regime should resign so that they don't have a conflict of interest during the elections, because there was concern that if they are very active, they might influence things internally. So we didn't anticipate that that would affect so many things. However, we are working around the clock. In fact, as we speak right now, we have already recruited a team to take over the social media channels, and they should start today straight away.
Okay, that's good.
And we've already taken care of that concern.
That's good. And then, when does the public get involved in the UMA activities? I feel like they're so ignored, so they're sidelined.
So two main, this is a membership organization. So the primary channel is for members. The primary communication direction is to members. Then the secondary one is to the public. To the public, we've been using the media. We've been organizing press conferences for all activities we've held. We've had press conferences, but of course, you can't cover the entire landscape of the media. So as others get to know, they are coming on board. When we begin the voter education process, I'm sure more will be more aware about our activities, and they will closely cover them. However, if we become aware of any alternative ways we can increase the communication, we would be happy to do so.
What would your ideal president be like?
That's
your ideal UMA
That's a very good question. My ideal president is someone who has an understanding of the issues that the industry is dealing with, the things that the industry needs to do to move forward. Someone who has an idea on, for example, how policy affects the music industry. Someone who can have a vision that is structured clearly and can create a roadmap for building the music industry. My concern is that musicians are too focused on music, but music, in my view, is, and from my experience for many years, is a very small part talent and a very big part business. We need musicians who can take interest in the business side of the music industry and get and dig in and acquire the skills that are necessary to implement the different initiatives that can drive the music industry forward.
Okay. There have been reports from within that there is some disunity within the industry, within the members actually of the association, even the executive at some point. How can this be solved? How are you dealing with this?
What people have referred to as disunity.
Because even the past president, the one who is standing against Cindy Sanyu, she acknowledges that there have been moments where she has had to ignore certain people just to keep the association moving forward. And then even part of her plan going ahead is to she acknowledged that there's need to create unity amongst the members so that the work of UMA as an association can move collectively as a whole group. Let us all work together and drive the thing forward. So how are you solving the disunity problem amongst the artists in the association?
Well, that's a problem that will be ongoing in terms of solving. However,
what causes
like I mentioned earlier,
if
there's a limited experience around governance issues. Most artists or creatives in general have ego issues.
Okay.
And because of egos clashing, conflicts arise. But we think as they mature in issues of governance, they will start to appreciate that the dynamics of leadership must go beyond the individual. And we think they are beginning to do that.
Are you pleased with...
Only that maybe they didn't have, like this current administration, they probably didn't have enough time to go through this cycle because of the changes.
Okay. Are you pleased with government's involvement in UMA's projects?
Oh yes, we are very pleased with government's involvement because the creative industries, and most especially the music industry, contributes very heavily in the development of the country. We are an accelerator for so many things. So we think the government being involved with us gives us an opportunity to take a piece of the national pie. And for a long time, the industry was ignored.
Yeah, it was.
But now we've been demonstrating for years. We just hadn't demonstrated our power politically. But I think when there was an opportunity to demonstrate that, the government is now noticing. So we think the future is bright.
Okay, as we wrap up this, what are UMA's obligations as the year unfolds further?
As the year unfolds further,
what are some of the goals you're looking to achieve?
Is to put new leadership into the administration of UMA, and then to continue the strategic plan that UMA has in place. There's a lot of activities that are on hold at the moment because of elections. And also there were things that were frozen because of the pandemic. So we think once the new administration kicks in, most of those things are going to start rolling.
Okay, back to Jeff as a person. What kind of music do you like? What do you enjoy? What sort of music gets you moving?
As an individual, I grew up listening to hip-hop. My influence was the East Coast era of the old school hip-hop. I grew up with that generation, and a lot of R&B influenced me as well. But as I grow older, my interests are widening. I'm straying into acoustic music, world music, anything that's rich in instruments. But still, my love for hip-hop is still strong. Doesn't go away.
And
I did rap myself in the 90s.
Yeah. I think I've seen something. I don't know. I think I saw photos.
Oh.
I think so. When you had an interview with a certain TV station, I dug up something and I saw some of those things. But anyway, are you comfortable with hip hop, with the way it's moving in Uganda, or do you feel, like myself? Do you feel like there's a bit of dip in how hip hop is being run?
Yes, I think there's a dip, a very strong dip with the way hip hop is going right now. But I didn't want to really bias because I also appreciate that as generations change, usually the older generations don't understand what is happening.
Yeah.
So a part of me thinks that things could be better, but a part of me thinks, you're just ignorant about this new generation, and they're doing things a little different. But I think that there's room for better, there's room for more. For example, even with these elections, there was only one person who applied to represent the hip-hop fraternity. That's Victor Kamenyo. And I was surprised. We were, in my time, we were very hungry for everything. In fact, when we were growing up, when we were listening, when we were still trying to sing, and the mainstream music industry didn't appreciate hip-hop. They didn't even play it on radio. They didn't even book hip-hop artists on concerts. And we worked very hard to demonstrate to them that we could. I mean, what the things we did were really awesome. Because we had failed to break through, we said, okay, let's break through internationally. Hip-hop artists were the first to play on the global stage, Ugandan music. They
the Channel O's.
Yeah, they were playing on Channel O, they were playing on MTV, they were playing on so many VH1, they were playing everywhere. And then the mainstream media started appreciating and thinking, wait a minute, we're ignoring these guys, but look, they're doing big things. The first serious music video in Uganda was a hip-hop video. Clear Cut's Mbu.ug was a hip-hop video, and we set the standard for music videos thereafter.
Actually,
while I worked with MTV Base, I was personally supervising music video shoots so that we could conform to
match
international standards. So I think the hip-hop fraternity is not doing enough right now. They could be doing much more.
What can be done What can be done to improve on that?
I think right now, look at what, when I was working with MTV, we were on the same level with Nigeria. In fact, I was among the first people to help the Nigerian music industry break through, at least in East Africa. One of the ideas I proposed then was that we should make African music truly Pan-African. And to do that, we need to have access to their music, they need to have access to our music. And when I asked them to bring their music, I put it on radio everywhere, on Capital, and it broke through. People like Two-Face, P Square, all those guys broke through, and they stayed. Us, we didn't push beyond that.
We haven't gotten to their side.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to that. I think we need to push more. There's still room for us to push more. And it's not really about money. It's also about ideas and that passion and hunger.
Okay.
That's lacking.
Okay. In 2019, the industry lost a big figure in the music industry. I'm talking about Mose Radio. Yes. The circumstances surrounding his death, we will never know. They tell us this, they tell us that. We can never get to the bottom of it. But what can musicians learn from his life and his death? What do you learn from his life and his death?
Moses Radio was a true symbol of the gift of music, and the proof that this gift is really powerful. The things he did with his time, one can't believe. Just the sheer volume of quality music that he put together, and the dedication he had. There's so many songs he was able to do. The only person I can compare him to is Tupac. Tupac lived a very short time, but he had so much impact that today we still feel his impact. It means that the artists today can see that and not see their lifetime as something that is indefinite, but they should see that with little time you can do so much more. And I feel like we have slowed down. There were days when people would have an album every year, but nowadays people are focused on singles. One song, and then they try and wait for that one song to hit. And look at the repertoire that Moses Radio has. I mean, this guy came many years after the big established artists, but he probably has several times more songs than most of the legends that we know. And quality songs, meaning that you have no excuse for not doing quality. It's the hard work. Maybe Moses Radio also had a little bit more talent than average. So
he was a genius.
He was a genius. I can't really compare that. But I also think that a very big part of it is hard work. It reminds me when I was working with MTV, we were trying to get the best talent to shine. But the best talent was actually very disorganized. That's what I noticed. And the guys who were average were way more organized. They had proper official pictures, they had proper CDs branded, they had better videos, they were working hard to organize their stuff. So I realized the music industry is not about the most talented, it's about the most organized.
Yeah, how do you organize yourself, package yourself?
It's about the most organized.
Okay.
If you're very organized, you can you can surprise people by rising above average.
Okay, as we close this, my name is Geoffrey again, Mbu.ug. Mr. Jeff, what are you expecting personally from the elections that are happening, and what are your last words to the people watching the Chit Chat show?
I'm glad with what is happening with the elections right now. A very big part of my objective was to resurrect interest in the music industry and to bring back respect for the music industry. We think that my feeling was that respect for the music industry was going down. The media is focusing too much on the chaos and not giving enough attention to the amazing things that are happening, the grounds we are breaking. Part of my goal is to allow us to see that the better side and to see how we can tap into that to do bigger things in Uganda and to shape the economy of Uganda in general.
So that's it. Look in that camera and tell us your favorite quote as we close this. The quote that keeps you moving.
For me, as a person in the music industry, my quote is, don't get high on your own supply. What I mean with this is that showbiz is a thing you create and so that you can monetize it or you can use it to do things that move you forward. But don't get carried away. Try and keep the balance. Don't get carried away. Stay focused and make things happening and you will see big things come through.
Thank you very much. My name is Geoffrey and I've been with Jeff of the UMA Election Committee. He will be joining us. If you have any questions, you can keep sending them. We'll be reaching out to him and he'll be telling us where are we going, what's happening, and answering all your questions. Thank you very much for watching this. If you've been watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you've been watching on Facebook, we also have other platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and everywhere. We are there. Just type Mbu.ug and we'll be there. Read our news on the website. We're just here for Ugandan content and we'll be serving you for many more years. Thank you very much. See you next time.